Hey everyone, I'm Brie and I'm in 8th grade and I'm so glad you're here today. It is the third week of our series called Never Give Up and it's all about helping each of us become more resilient in life. What exactly does that mean? I'm so glad you asked. Resilience is our ability to bounce back and grow stronger after we've struggled, failed, or faced hard stuff in our life. But before we jump in, I want to ask you a quick question. How many of you think that life is better with friends? I totally agree. I think there are some things in life that just aren't the same if you do them alone. Let me show you what I mean. He did an awesome job being a one-person band, right? But let's be honest, I think he'd agree that having one more person in the band would have made their job a lot easier and a lot more fun. Because some things are just better with others. Have you ever tried FaceTiming alone? Pretty weird. How about do it on TikTok with no one on the other side of the screen? A little odd. Playing softball? Impossible to do by yourself. Or maybe think about it this way. Do any of you guys play video games? My favorite game is a game called Little Nightmares, and there's two characters in it. One of the characters is who you play, Mono, and the other is Six. Now, the entire time you need to help each other throughout the game, and Six is there to hoist you up and give you a boost whenever you need one. But without her being there, you'd probably just end the game off in a dark hallway, just sitting there, all alone for the rest of your life. Wait a minute. So, we all know that some things can't be done alone. But here's what I find interesting. Even though we know it, we don't always live like it's true. For one reason or another, so many of us go through life completely alone. You've probably heard people talk about it at school or online about the problem of loneliness in our world. Maybe you've experienced your fair share of loneliness or you're lonely right now. According to a recent study, as many as 3 out of every 5 people you see daily say that they're lonely. That means that a lot of us feel like we're walking through life alone. We're trying to get through stressful events, difficult circumstances, and hard days all by ourselves. I think many of us do these 3 things. 1. Pull away when life gets tough. When hard things happen, we feel like we have to figure them out on our own. So we pull away from people who might be able to help us just to prove that we can do it alone. Number 2. Hold things back from other people. Maybe we start hiding stuff that's hard or difficult in our lives from the people closest to us. We don't open up in our small group, to our friends, or to our parents. We choose to keep the really tough stuff to ourselves. We think that we have to figure it out, all those thoughts, all those experiences, and all those stressful things all by ourselves. Or 3, we have to do life all by myself. Some of us have been taught that the toughest, strongest, and best people are the people who handle it all on their own. And we feel like we have to solve our own problems and we have to make it without the help of others. We have to rely on only one person, and that's ourselves. That all sounds really tough and lonely, huh? Well, this is exactly where I think resilience comes in. Remember, resilience is our ability to bounce back and grow stronger after we've struggled, failed, or faced hard stuff in our life. It gives us a way to go through ups and downs in our life because we know we'll be stronger because of it. It's kind of like a bouncy ball. When you throw it at the ground, it bounces back up and it just keeps going. It doesn't stop once it's thrown, it bounces back over and over again. That's what resilience looks like. It's bouncing back after a setback. But building that kind of resilience in our lives doesn't happen overnight. Resilience is kind of like a muscle we have to build. We have to keep going, keep trying, keep showing up instead of giving up. So what if the best way to become stronger, healthier, and more positive as you go through life is not by pushing through it on your own? What if building resilience is one of those things that's actually better with others? Today we're going to talk about a guy whose entire life was changed by Jesus. His name was Paul, and he was one of the most famous and influential Christians to ever live. He started many of the first ever Christian churches and helped develop other leaders to continue sharing Jesus' message around the world. Pretty cool, right? Early on, Paul worked alongside some of his buddies, guys like Barnabas, Silas, and Mark. These were the early Christians who helped out spread the good word and news about Jesus. They were accomplishing this mission together, but at one point, Paul and Barnabas got into an argument. Bummer, right? Paul was upset with their other friend Mark, who bailed on them during one of their trips. When Paul told Barnabas about his frustrations, Barnabas wasn't really understanding. You see, Mark was Barnabas' cousin, so when Paul wanted to tell Mark that he couldn't stay with them, Barnabas didn't really agree. He didn't want to leave his cousin behind, so Paul and Barnabas ended up going their separate ways. As time passed, Paul found himself in a pretty hard spot. He was in jail for telling others about Jesus. Paul could have given in right then and there. He could have said, "Oh well, guess it's time for me to give up and feel sorry about myself." But thankfully for us, that's not what happened. Instead, he wrote a letter to a friend named Timothy. Take a look at what he asked for. Get Mark and bring him with you because he is helpful to me in my ministry. 2 Timothy 4:11. I know it's simple, but don't miss this. Paul realized he couldn't do it on his own, so he asked for Mark, the very guy he refused to bring with him all those years before, the guy who bailed, the guy who didn't think would be all that helpful. It seems like Paul came to realize, whether through his circumstances or through Mark's own actions, that we need the help of other people. It's how we grow. Paul knew that Mark would help him spread the good news of Jesus while he was trapped in Rome. Maybe for you, having the support of a friend might help you pass that test or deal with your anxiety or negative loss of someone you love, or even grow your faith. In other words, letting other people in to help us is actually one of the ways we can build resilience. If we want to keep going, keep growing, keep developing resilience, we need to never give up on others. Now, let's pause for a sec. There are some circumstances where we need to actually put a distance between ourselves and someone else for our own health and safety. In a way, it might feel like we're giving up on that person, but really, we're creating a boundary for what's healthy for ourselves. That might mean that a person is still in your life in some way, but it might mean that they're not. This kind of situation is not what I'm trying to say when I say never give up on others. If you're in that situation, I'm sorry. I know that creating boundaries can be really hard to do, but the good news is that while that person may not be a healthy influence on your life, someone else can be. So, if we want to build resilience, we need other people to help us grow. Other people to help us stay positive. When life gets tough, sometimes there's nothing better than a friend who will remind us of all the good that remains around us. Friendships help us become more resilient. Other people provide the support we need. Sometimes we all just need someone to lean on. When we need someone to laugh with, to cry with, to talk to. You know this because your friends need this from you sometimes. All of this leads to a healthier and more resilient version of ourselves. So, what can we begin to do now to start allowing others to help us with this? Here are a few questions to help you get started. Ask yourself these 3 questions. 1. What is happening? Do you feel lonely? Have you been pulling away because you're going through something? Start by getting real about where you currently are and when it comes to letting other people in. 2. What is true no matter what? It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to lean on the ones who love and care about you. Their help might be the very thing that pushes you towards resilience. And 3. What can you do? Now, it's time to get to work. Start by sharing what ups and downs you're facing in life. Then, ask your friends thoughts on what you can learn, how you can grow, and what you can do to keep going even when you want to give up. Remember, never give up on others, because having other people to support you and walk with you through life can make such a difference. It can help you be way more resilient. That's why we have all these small groups here. They're a safe place for you to share your own ups and downs with a group of people who want to help you face them. So, will you consider sharing with them today? And as you do, I want you to think about this one question. What's one thing you're going through right now that you want to share with someone else?